Here on the right, it's a question about God and other planets.
Hello, friends. This is sort of a question to ask. I'd like you to imagine some hypothetical situation where life was found on another planet. I'd like to know what any member of the panel really think the implications for human spirituality would be. And now suppose this life was intelligent and had some kind of belief system that did not resemble any of the major faiths on Earth. What would the implications of this be? Thank you.
I love questions like this. I'm a thwarted physicist. That's what I studied at university. I'm an ex-atheist too, by the way, just as a side note. I'm not sure what relevance that is. It's a wonderful question, and I think it's a question which we should think about, and it's worth wrestling with. I'm going to do it in 2 parts, if I may. I think the idea that there might be other planets flourishing with other intelligent life would just be marvellous, wouldn't it? I have a friend of mine who once suggested that the Christian notion of creation was just so ridiculous because God had the idea that God might have just put human beings on Earth, if you know what I mean, and just made the rest of the creation, the rest of the universe. And when I say creation, it's shorthand. Okay, physicists, Big Bang. It's so excessive to have all the rest of the universe, which of course fails utterly to understand the biblical picture of God as someone who is just oriented towards abundance. And Jesus' first miracle is recorded as making an excessive amount of Grange quality wine at a wedding. He is the guy you wanted to have around the party, right? So it's just a misconception to think that God's abundance isn't directed towards it. I think it'd be just marvellous. If they had a completely different worldview, I would say, well, it really is, again, using the metaphor, it's one more in the party, isn't it? That is, the fact that there are a number of different competing worldviews from a range of theological and atheological perspective does not by itself indicate the truth or falsity of any one of them or all of them. That would be another competing perspective which would need to be evaluated on its own merits and hopefully done so respectfully and in a loving, kind, welcoming kind of way. Hopefully what we're seeing going on here, it would be one more extension to that same paradigm which we're exploring here tonight.
It's an interesting question about other planets. My father perpetually used to say to me when we were staring at stars when I was very small, either we're utterly alone or we're not. And either way, it's pretty incredible.
Wouldn't just a question to the crowd, don't you all feel a little bit of you would die inside if there wasn't intelligent life somewhere else? Doesn't the thought that we... You mean off the
I think that's probably...
No, it's too hypothetical.
It's too hypothetical. Alright, then I'm going to pass down to the other end of the bench where we haven't heard from for a while. Travis, does it matter if there's other worlds?
Well, there's a lovely online comic. It's called Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal. There's an episode of it where a human finally meets an alien, and the alien has a speech bubble. And he says, "Oh yeah, Jesus, he came round. We gave him some tea and some lunch and some wine. He comes back every second Sunday. What'd you guys do to him?" If you consider the math, it's almost certain. I mean, is it? I mean, we don't really know what form it'll take or what it will be or what the implications will be. As Chris said, it's far too hypothetical. But I mean, it's almost a certainty. And I guess from an outsider, I don't understand how that can be consistent with a biblical conception of the universe. I think it can be. If I can make the distinction, I think it's perfectly consistent with a Christian perspective of the universe, but I don't think it's consistent with a biblical conception of the universe, and that's a different thing entirely as to what Christian and biblical now means. But yeah, I think it's almost a certainty, really.
I don't want to end up in a position where the only questions that are asked are those that were pre-planned, so I'm going to move swiftly on to our fifth and final question, which comes from Tom Russell in Greenfield. Tom, do you mind standing?
Yeah, all right, so theists claim that without God, moral absolutes cannot exist and our lives become morally directionless. And yet 56% of surveyed philosophers said they believed in objective morality of a sample of which only 15% were theistic. Atheists will retort using examples of religious failings and point to secular achievements in the provision of charity, but this too falls short. The religious in America are 25 percentage points more likely to donate to all charity, even 10 percentage points more likely to donate to secular charity. Similar figures have been reported elsewhere and for other charitable pursuits, such as volunteering. We cannot dismiss such results with the usual appeals to correlation and causation, since we know the method of causation. Common beliefs in a common God tend to foster a communitarian outlook, resulting in increased vertical and lateral... So I swear I'm near the end. This was all approved beforehand. Because common beliefs in a common God tend to foster a communitarian outlook, resulting in increased vertical and lateral solidarity, and a key divine command in almost all religious traditions is the call to charity and goodwill. If secular...
Question 1 second.
Yes, so given all this, can secular morality ever bridge the gap, and how does the panel imagine it will do so?
1 sentence, 1 more time. What's the question?
So, given the attestation of evidence regarding the propensity of religious people to contribute more to their communities and more to charity, can secular morality ever catch up? Will it require a rethink of secular morality? What does the panel think of this?
Can secular morality do it?
Secular morality is beside the point. Whether we act good or bad is beside the point. In a moral sense, if somebody keeps annoying us, we pass a law and we stop them doing it. Again, I come back to the state as the thing that is defining absolutely everything about how we're going forward here. We don't need morality anymore. We have a very good law code, full stop.
I'd like to ask Jason to respond to that.
I'm horrified. Throughout human history, the evils like from slavery to poverty have been abolished by people who said there is a law and that law is immoral. The idea that law can take the place of morality is fundamentally to put a stop to human moral progress, and I'm pretty horrified to hear such a suggestion.
Dr. Hunt, is that what you're suggesting?
So what we're doing now is instead of talking about personal moral decisions, we're making corporate decisions about what constitutes correct behaviour and correct attitude in societies. And the law is there to fix that up. Jason brings in slavery, justifiable in a whole range of areas from religious scripture, and even John Shelby Spong, the great American bishop, says, "I was ashamed as a Christian that when I went to the southern parts of America, they used biblical scripture to justify segregation down there." What changes all of that? The federal government of America, LBJ, who I don't think is a particularly religious figure, Kennedy, and a whole range of other secular operatives, sending in the army and passing laws to change it.
Reverend?
No, I think it's fair to say, Chris, that one of the things we have identified today, I can speak about this, is the reality that because we're trying to keep our laws as much as possible in a secular institution that is our nation, free from religious dogmatism, that we create spaces in our laws within which human moral expression continues to flourish in its variegated forms based on the values that humans have. That is, the state, we can, obviously this is a fascination of yours, this prying act of the state. The state still legislates at a 30,000 foot level, so to speak. There are areas where it does penetrate into everyday human existence. But interestingly enough, much of our discussion so far has been about behaviours. Certainly from a Christian perspective, I'm much less interested in what people do with their hands and with their genitals, frankly, than what is happening within their hearts. That's something which we can't, I sound all lovey-dovey, you can't legislate a human heart. But you know, are you with me? Are you with me? There is, I think it's a terribly abstruse thing to project morality purely out from the stretch of our fingers into the acts of...
So your argument is the law or kittens?
It's the vibe, it's Marbo.
The thing is, the thing is that you're really just replacing one kind of law with another. I mean, it's semantics, natural law or law given down by humans. I mean, it doesn't change. I mean, I don't understand how you can say that, that you can, on the basis of natural law, object to the law handed down by humans, and then maintain that morality is not something that's constructed like an architect, but uncovered like an archaeologist. I mean, if we're uncovering morality that's pre-existent and handed down outside of us like an archaeologist, and are trying to assemble pieces of it, then I don't understand how you can, for a second, claim that there can be anything but progress, or anything kind of that even resembles progress. And to add a corollary to that, I mean, as Chris so rightly mentioned, progress has so often been linked, for example, in the abolitionist movement, to the rejection not of necessarily religious impositions or religious imperatives, but certainly religious modes of thinking.
We need to move swiftly on. We are fast reaching the end of the time that we have booked here. I now want to throw to the audience, just so you know, we're probably not going to have time for more than about 3 questions. So if you have one ready, there's one that's been burning here for the entire duration of this panel. Which one is standing up first?
Hey guys, I'm Dom. My question is actually going to be aimed at a couple of you. Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Dr.
Chris.
Doctor, and we've got brother over here, Travis. So, over hundreds of years, we have seen much evidence for Jesus Christ, as this will conceivably continue into the future. Where do you see the future of atheism in 100 years? Is there, in fact, an expiry date if atheists run out of new substantial proof and writings to back their claims? And could it, in fact, become a bit like Off Milk?
Chris, we're going to run out of proof for atheism.
I'd just like to say I hope the new